What you're seeing now actually is my philodendron pot, but look at that. That's no longer a philodendron pot. That is a fungus gnats pot.
Hello, it's me.
Oh, hello there, plant lovers! This is your Plant Tribe Diva, and welcome back again to my channel. So first of all, I would like to thank you for supporting me and for watching all my videos. And for those who are new here, please feel free to hit that subscribe button below. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me and it means the world to me. So before I will start, I want to remind you to please follow the guidelines on our upcoming Christmas giveaways, because I don't want your entry be nullified just because you missed the guidelines. Anyway, I know most of you follow the guidelines, but this is just a friendly reminder. Okay, so I'm done vlogging. Now we will be talking about fungus gnats. I know you've seen this before and it probably drives you nuts. I don't know, there's a lot of nuts today. Okay, so this particular insect, they love to fly around your face and into your nose or ears. And you hear that buzzing sound sometimes, but most of the time they're so quiet. But you can feel that and it's driving you nuts, another nuts. And that sound or whatever is the feeling, it is so irritating and of course annoying. Okay, plant lovers, you're seeing right now my one of my collections, and that is a philodendron. And I know it's a philodendron because I took a picture, or I used to picture this app where you can see what kind of plant do you have. All you have to do is to take a picture of your plant leaves and then it'll pop out what kind of plant you have. So that's what I did, and I know it's a philodendron. Yeah, I mean, if you are a plant lover, I would recommend for you to upload this app. And besides, it's free. You don't have to worry to pay a monthly or something. And so if you go to the local store or a nursery, you can just, take a picture of the plant that you're eyeing for to bring home, and ta-da, you'll get the information right away. What you're seeing now actually is my philodendron pot. But look at that. That's no longer a philodendron pot. That is a fungus gnats pot. Look at them, how happy are they, and they're partying and all that. But I don't want my philodendron died just because they want to stay there. So imagine if I will let the little buggers stay in my plant, then that will definitely kill my plant, and they can do it quickly. And get this, plant lovers, it only takes one adult fungus gnat to lay potentially at least hundreds of eggs. Okay, so right now I'm just going to show you the fun facts of the life cycle of the fungus gnats. So at first, adult is capable of laying eggs after 7 days, and then after 7 days that egg will start to develop for another 4 to 6 days before it becomes a larva. And larva will start to develop again from 10 to 14 days before it becomes a pupa. And then after that, another 4 to 7 days to become a fully developed fungus gnat that usually you can see around the plants flying like crazy. Okay, so to give you more details about this type of insect, I will share with you the different families of this fungus gnats. These 6 families include the following. Okay, so the first family is called Sayaridae, and this one is commonly known as the dark-winged fungus gnats. and you can find them in a moist area or sometimes in the mushroom farms or in your household plant pots. The next family is called Mystophilidae. Again, it's Mystophilidae, and they are generally found in the damp habitats that favors their host, which is the fungi. And most of the time, they love to form a dense swarm like what you're seeing in the picture right now. The next one is called Diatomeidae, and there are very small species, and mostly they are all over the world except in the Afrotropical region. Our next one is called Boletophilidae. They're usually found in the oriental region of Taiwan, and they're pretty small, like around 6 to 9 millimeters. Alright, the second to the last family of the fungus gnats is called Diodoceidae, and there are actually woodland flies. You can find them in shaded places in forests or near streams, and you can find them all over the world except for Africa and Antarctica. And also, the average body length for the adults is around 2.5 to 5.6 millimeters. So the last one is called Cheropletidae or Cheroplatidae. They are generally forest dwellers, and they can also often be found in caves and mostly in the damp habitats. The larva, though, is cannibalize their own pupa or eat their own species. So this one actually is not part of the fungus family, but it sounds like it because she's yelling like, I'm gonna die. So anyway, this one is part of Hypolistes family, and this is the polka dot. And I think this one is being infected with fungus gnats because when I lift it up, there's a lot of fungus down in the bottom. Another plant was being infected with my photos. It was a big disaster when I was trying to save it, but right now she is recovering and she's doing well.
2 inches later.
So now I'm just going to show you how I save my philodendron from fungus gnats. So here, as you can see, at least I dig 3 to 4 inches of soil out of the pot, and I transfer the infected soil to a different container because I want to do something else about that, and I'm going to show you how I did it. So I double check, I go around, I stick my finger there and double check if there is activity of fungus gnats. Then after that, I sprayed a solution. So if you ask me what kind of solution I use to kill the fungus gnats, to be honest with you, I tried almost everything. One solution that I used for a long time was a mix of 1 part peroxide, 4 parts water, at least 4 tablespoons of alcohol, and then I put like 2 teaspoons of neem oil. I just follow the direction at the back of the neem oil. And I also used for a long time a garden safe houseplant. It's actually an organic. So I used that for a long time, but it didn't work. And then eventually I switched into a different product. I also tried cinnamon powder or ground cinnamon. Just kind of sprinkle it on top of the soil. So after I'm done digging the soil, I just sprayed it with the solution that I've mentioned earlier. And then, as you can see there, the coloration of the soil was changing into like a whitish color. That's because of the peroxide. And then after that, I kept digging and sprayed again. So just a repeat process until you can't see any fungus gnats activity. Then after that, I just covered the pot with this sphagnum moss around the pot, just to kind of block the moist, so the moist will stay. So you can just leave the sphagnum moss there, but for me, I'd like to add more accent, so I add that pebbles. Actually, it's not pebbles, it's rocks, and it's pretty inexpensive here in our local store, so I just bought that. in and just put a little bit an accent on your pot, and also to put a little bit weight on your sphagnum moss. So this one I also repotted it, and I just put the sphagnum moss and some little rocks on it too. So that is my dumb cane or mother-in-law plant. So look at that, how pretty it is, you know, after finishing putting all the accent. So that's how I do it.
2,000 years later.
Here you go, plant lovers. This is my philodendron after 3 days, and I double check everything. By the way, I also sprinkle it with ground cinnamon powder. In that way, we'll make sure that those fungus knots will not come back and colonize inside the pot. Another recommendation I can give you is that letting the soil dry between watering, because you know how fungus knots love to stay in a damp area. But I'm not recommending it to all the plants. It only applies to certain plants because some plants do better when the soil is kept evenly moist. So you have to know what kind of plants of it you have. But based on my experience, philodendron doesn't like to be watered a lot. So I just wait like at least 1 to 1.5 weeks before I watered them. Another recommendation I can share with you, if you really don't want fungus knots all over your house, you can also put your plants in a vase and just add water. Like in my experience, I just had an experiment. I put the philodendron in the water vase and I just put a little bit of rocks on it. I also added 3 nickels inside the vase in the water because nickel is a plant micronutrients, and it also important for bacteria and fungi, which are both important for good plant growth. So another recommendation I can share with you is you can also use leca or a lightweight expanded clay aggregate. This one can help the roots grow more healthier. But the only thing with this though, the leca doesn't have a nutrients. So what you can do, you can just add the nutrients in the water, because this one I use the vase to dump the pot on the water and just kind of feed that to the roots. So this one, I think it's more better because you can see the growth of the roots coming out, and it is really cool to see.
Later that night.
So right now, as I've mentioned earlier, I will be showing you how I saved my infected soil. I can actually just throw that away and just be done and over with, but I mean, you're paying everything, right? Like I cannot just dig in my backyard and have my own soil. I have to go to the market and buy soil. So anyway, I put that soil, the infected soil, in a pretty decent sized container. I just put everything in there. I dump all my soil, and then I added a product that is called mosquito bits. So actually this is for mosquitoes, but also controls fungus knots. So I just sprinkled the mosquito bits on the soil, a pretty enough size or amount of mosquito bits, and then I just mix them. So yeah, after mixing them and you think like you need to add more mosquito bits, so it's up to you. You can just double check your soil if everything looks good. You can add more if you want, or it's up to you. And then after checking them, I think you're good to go. All you have to do is to cover the container with your lid, and then make sure you store it away somewhere that your pet or your animals can't reach.
2,000 years later.
So after several days, I revisited the container, and just to check if there's new activities, something's crawling or flying or moving. And so far, I don't see anything. So it seems like the mosquito bits is working. So I'm happy that I purchased that solution. So there you have it, plant lovers. I just shared with you my experience with the fungus knots and what not to do and what to do, and any other tips and care of your plants when you experience those fungus knots. And I also shared with you how to save your soil so you don't have to throw it away. And I hope you learned something for today's video, and I really appreciate your time for watching my video. And also feel free to share these videos to your friends and loved ones, and maybe they're experiencing the same experience that I have, and maybe you can help them solve the problem. So plant lovers, in a few days, I will be posting an update in regards to the Christmas giveaways game. So if you haven't joined on that particular game yet, just make sure to watch the video. The title is Christmas Giveaways, from Plant Tribe Divas to yours. So please consider to join because this is legit. I cannot emphasize enough how legit this game is. And of course, as always, may you be happy, may you be well, may you be safe, may you be peaceful, and may the Holy Spirit continue to protect you and your loved ones today and always. Be safe out there, everyone, and I will see you next time.
So I didn't see any fungus knots, and I believe they're successful. So far so good. I'm just dig more deeper. Let's see. Oh, no, nothing's moving right now. Moby, what's up?